Hey everyone, and welcome to another instalment of Board Games Hitting My Table. This is a series where I talk about all the non-new to me board games I've played over the last couple of weeks. This one covering the first half of July 2022. I've not had a massive opportunity to play loads of games, and when I have, I've mainly been playing new stuff, but despite that I have still got some old ones back to the table, so I'm here to share my thoughts on them. But before I get into the games, I want to give a shout out to the show's sponsor, Kienda.co.uk, who are my go-to online retailer here in the UK, and if you use my discount code in the show notes, you can get 5% off your first order. But let's get started on what I've been playing. First up with The Quest for El Dorado. So this actually featured on my last month's roundup, and it did have quite a modest place on that list because I'd only played it once up to that point, and that first game didn't quite go as I'd expected, as there was a very clear runaway leader, and I felt like I was a bit stuck at times by not being able to progress at all, and just not making much, not making much progress considering this is a racing style game. However, the second play that I've done this one now, we played another 3-player game, and it was a much improved game for me. I enjoyed it so much more. It seemed to flow a lot better. The cards I was buying seemed to come out more often, and I just enjoyed it. It was a nice, smooth experience, and you can definitely see this is, Knizia's take on a deck builder. And you know what? The more games I'm playing over the last couple of years, I've kind of started to almost sway away from enjoying deck building type games. But El Dorado has kind of hooked me back into it because it is much more of a simpler, more streamlined implementation of a deck builder. And I just think it's a nice game, very pleasant to play, and I want to explore it some more and try some different options in terms of cards you buy. But yeah, definitely an improvement on my initial impressions with The Quest for El Dorado, and it came right down to a neck-and-neck finish, where the winner actually won on a tiebreaker. So that's how close this race was. So that is The Quest for El Dorado. Going back to an old classic now, so we played a 3-player game of Coloretto. I think this was just to finish the night off, as we had a spare 20 minutes or so, and this one has never failed to impress. Very simple little set collection, pushy luck style game, very small footprint. Still one of the best kind of uses of the pushy luck mechanism I've seen, as you'll keep playing these little chameleon cards out on these columns of cards, but every time you do that you're giving options to your opponents to collect the chameleons that they need, but do you wait longer and hopefully get more, or is it going to get sabotaged by another player? Borderline essential for me. Can't praise this one enough. It is just an absolute blast. That is Coloretto, another successful game of that one. Keeping on the line of more simplified filler games, and we have Dragon Master. So this is actually the second Knizia game that I'm talking about today. This is a 2-player only kind of puzzly style game, as you have a hand of cards, these square cards that look like this, and that have different numbers on them. And what you're doing is that one person is going to be trying to make these lines of cards, and the other person is going to be making columns of cards on the same grid. But if you have the same number, I think they multiply with each other, or they can get like times by 10. So if you have like 2 ones, they're worth 10 points. But if you have 3 ones, I think they're worth 100 points. But out of the 4 columns or 4 rows that you make throughout the game, only your lowest row or column scores. So it's got that classic Knizia scoring system that always works well. This one, I was really intrigued when I played this one the first time, maybe a year or so ago. I find the design quite fascinating. When I played it again, I kind of have doubts whether there is much depth here, or whether it's kind of almost like a veil of strategy, because it feels like the choices are pretty obvious on what you have to do, but there is that one kind of moment in the game where you're at that crossroads. Should I play the card here and here? And you're probably going to play it in the right place or the wrong place. And then as the game kind of develops, that is going to become more and more apparent. I do like it. I like the concept of it. Does it have the legs? Is it collection worthy? I'm kind of on the fence with it. And to be honest, we haven't played it much since we've had it in the collection, so it might be time for this one to go. But we shall see on that one. I'm so happy to play it because it does only take around 10 minutes to play, and it is decent, that's for sure. But that is Dragon Master. I also played some more of the Guild of Merchant Explorers. Now I'm going to be a little bit coy on what I say with this one because I have just recorded my review of it. But this is essentially it basically plays like a flip and write style game. However, you do not have the traditional, dry erase boards or pens. You're actually physically placing cubes on the map, and you're scoring points in different ways. covering up these coins, connecting these trade houses with each other, discovering these ruins. I'm going for public objectives, all that kind of stuff you'd expect from a flip and write game. Now, I will kind of spoil it a bit that my impression of the game was massively altered by the way that this was produced. So, like, it's very cluttered as the game goes on. You can see here all these cubes come all over the place. The cubes are just enough or big enough for the hexes, and it does become a bit of an obstacle to really get, just enjoy the actual game itself. But is the actual game good? Yes, it is. It is a very solid game, but I'm not quite sure the production is right with it. All the previous games I've played, this one, there's always been like a runaway leader, but this most recent game we had, only a 2-player game, there was literally a few points in it, which is always good fun. So that is the Guild of Merchant Explorers. Keep an eye out for my review dropping very shortly on that one. We also played a 5-player game of Chinatown. So if you watch my channel, you're probably aware that Chinatown is one of my favourite games of all time. It recently featured on my ratings changes video series, where I monitor games that are climbing or falling in my ratings. This one went up from an 8.5 to a 9, and you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if this one still goes up. So I actually played this game with 3 strangers. I'd never met them before. And that was kind of like almost like a litmus test for me, really, because I'd always play Chinatown with my best of best friends, and of course, this is a very, interactive game which relies on players getting involved and just being loud and striking up deals, negotiation. And I was wondering, is it going to fall more flat because I'm playing with people who aren't, we're not familiar with each other. And it really did amaze me how strong of a design this is, where everybody was fully invested, and it was one of the best games of Chinatown I've ever had. So good. Some of the deals were fantastic. Honestly, if you like negotiation, you like economic style games, then Chinatown is a must-have. It is that good. And we had a brilliant game of it. That is Chinatown. And staying on the theme of playing games at 5 players, on the same night we played a 5-player game of Condottieri. So this was another game that I played for the first time last month. Only played it at a 3-player count up to that point, and really enjoyed it, like very much enjoyed it. But this time, obviously, we played it at the 5-player count, and I have to say I enjoyed it even more. So something that is, I think, worth mentioning is that this game is advertised as being, I think it's like 20 to 45 minutes. When you are playing with 5 players, and I think this one even scales up to 6, yeah, it does scale up to 6, you are looking at a lot longer time frame to play it. But you know what? When I played this one, I was engaged from start to finish. I did not care how long it was going because it was that much fun. So this is a really cool kind of hand management area majority style game. Actually, just trying to control a number of regions or a number of adjacent regions, but you're doing it all through card play. Either playing these cards here just to bolster your strength to control these regions. You've got ones that can kind of manipulate things by eliminating all the highest cards, boosting the cards, changing everything to level 1s, and all the way that these cards work, almost like the way they synergize with each other, and the options and strategies that can develop are fascinating. And you can probably tell I'm enamored with this one. I think it is spectacular, particularly if you want something that's not party, not so light, or you want something with a bit of meat on the bones that still caters well, in fact exceptionally well, for 5 and 6 players. Then this one is just spectacular. So yeah, I still need to record my review of this one, but spoiler alert, it's going to be extremely positive. So that is Condottieri. And the final game that we've been playing is a 2-player game, because I think that's all this caters for, of Lawyer Up. So I'd actually only shared some initial impressions on this one when I first played it quite a while ago now, actually, when it first came out. We only played the kind of introductory scenario, and we were a bit underwhelmed by it because it felt like you were just going through the motions, just matching symbols, and there really wasn't much strategy going on in this game at all. Very frustrating, as it was just constant back and forth trying to sway these jurors. So we wanted to try it out one of the most complex cases, or we tried an expansion one, which I think has this kind of mafia theme to it. Just see, are we missing something? Were we missing something just because we were playing the introductory scenario? And it turned out that wasn't the case at all. It was pretty much the exact same experience. I really found it quite boring. It was very static and stale, and I really did struggle to extract any enjoyment from this game at all. I think we even called it early because we thought, we're just not willing to put the time in because we're just not achieving anything here. We're getting nothing from it. So I think this is going to be my kind of passing thoughts on Lawyer Up. I don't think I'm going to cover it on the channel at all because I haven't played it a ton, but the few times I have played it, it's just gone down like a lead balloon. Yeah, we haven't enjoyed it at all, and sadly, despite me really wanting to like it because it's a unique theme, really cool concept, it just does not deliver at all. So sadly, I didn't enjoy that one. But there we have it. That's all the games that I've been playing for the first half of July 2022. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, please be sure to hit like and subscribe my channel and check out my other content too. And for everyone else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye bye.